people get dogs or cats. Then, you may want to get yourself a trimming.
The angel closest to God was none other than Satan.
Hey everyone, it's Waman, and in today's video I did want to take yet again another dive into the disturbing world of analog horror. Now, it's been a while since we've taken a look at some more one-off analog horror videos. We've kind of been focusing on series lately, and trust me when I say this collection of tapes is truly horrifying. But before we begin, please do not forget to subscribe to the channel as well as liking the video and commenting bruh. So if you do like it here, doing that would help me out a lot. Also, real big thank you to Raid for helping me to create this very disturbing analog horror video. Raid Shadow Legends is a free-to-play RPG mobile game played by 80 million players across the world. Now, picking your starter champion is a big decision, but to make things easier, I'll break them down. There's Elhine, which is a critical hit monster, great for dealing large amounts of damage. Second is Athel, whose main perk is being able to increase her own attack and defense. She can gain an extra turn and hit all of her enemies before they can even strike back. And if you're into more speed-based characters, there's a character named Gallic, who can place a speed boost on himself as well as decrease enemy defenses. Lastly, there is Kael. He has poisons, super strong AoE attack, and he remains super useful even after getting more champions from shards. But you shouldn't stress too much about picking your champion, as they're all really balanced, and you can eventually get the others through shards over time. Also, Raid has a Valentine's Day themed adventure with the Raid Love Quest for new players. All you need to do is download Raid Shadow Legends from the links below, copy your in-game player ID, and then head on over to raidlovequest.plarium.com. Running from February 14th to March 14th, you can play one of the Valentine's themed minigames for a chance to win some fantastic in-game and real-life prizes, including Amazon gift cards worth up to $1,000. And old Raid players can go to the same website to find a special promo code to redeem a small Valentine's gift from Raid to you. And if you haven't started playing Raid yet, click my link in the description or scan my QR code here on the screen. You'll get unique bonuses worth $35, including a free epic champion, Jotun, and other useful stuff. Now, this first installment that we're going to be taking a look at is relatively short. It's called fallen.wvn. And honestly, just the way that this entire video is put together is just very haunting. So I did want to show you guys this one, as it kind of stuck out to me as being extremely terrifying. The tape begins and the story starts off by telling us about the angels that were with God, highlighting one angel in particular, Lucifer, who was the closest to God.
So many angels lived with God. The harmony of that plays through, and the sin did not yet exist. The angel closest to God was none other than Satan.
Saying that Lucifer was one of the most beautiful and brightest angels close to God.
Lucifer, one of the most beautiful and brightest angels close to God.
Which is actually very true, because if you guys didn't know already, Lucifer was an angel before he became the devil. Lucifer was cast out of heaven. The quote from Ezekiel 28:17 goes, "Your heart became proud on account of your beauty, and you corrupted your wisdom because of your splendor." This being essentially the reason that Lucifer was banned from heaven. He became way too prideful for the liking of God, and thus he banished him, and pride being the first deadly sin. But in the version that this particular analog horror takes, Lucifer discovers something in the kingdom of heaven.
One day when Lucifer discovered that he rebelled against God.
Lucifer, after discovering whatever this was, rebelled against God, taking other angels with him to start a war against the kingdom of heaven.
Lucifer was defeated by God's army led by the archangel Michael, and exiled to hell.
And what plays before us is perhaps one of the most horrifying things that I've seen in a while, because we're shown Lucifer falling into Hell. There's just something about the way that this is animated that makes me feel just super uneasy. Depicting Lucifer falling into the gates of Hell is just very haunting. This second piece of horror that we're going to be taking a look at is called Stairs in the Forest, which is actually a very real phenomenon if you guys didn't know already. There's tons of just random stairs all over the world that a lot of them are from rundown structures, and only these stairs survived, although in other cases it looks like these stairs were just built on their own and just left there in the middle of the forest for no apparent reason. It's a very strange phenomenon that directly inspired this piece of analog horror.
I saw that stairs today, but where she disappeared.
In 2001, a young girl who participated in the summer camp was in the search team and rescue team found the watches and video equipment of the missing people in the deep forest 40 miles away from the camp, which is very strange on its own because if you were to walk 40 miles, it would take you roughly around 10 hours to walk that distance. Along with those who had disappeared was a child named Allie, who was only 15 years old. Park rangers who were on the rescue team had the following to say regarding the disappearance of these children.
Friend, another unlucky kid disappeared. I think it must be adolescent tantrums. I didn't find anything. There was nothing there.
I really want to forget all this, but I can see something wrong. Well, that's the kind of stairs. I just saw it quickly and left in a hurry. But I don't think it has anything to do with the disappearance.
According to Ranger 445, she witnessed a staircase near the missing place. However, Ranger 445 noted that the stairs made her feel extremely uneasy, as if there was something off, something really strange going on in this particular area. The ranger ended up leaving the scene regardless of the rescue mission. But after Ranger 445 returned from leaving the stairs, they set out once again in search of the missing children. And it's here where we're shown this very strange sketch of one of the children who went missing. The first sketch of the child looks his age, but in the second sketch, he's aged drastically. After this, what plays before us is a radio call between Ranger 325 and Ranger 445. Ranger 325 describing that he's come across the staircase.
This is Sergeant Rescue Team 325. I saw something like a staircase.
And what happens next is 325's descent into madness.
No, nothing unusual. Already under the stairs. Very close. There's one right there. I think I can go up and have a look.
Stay where you are.
Well, I feel that there is a powerful force that attracts me to go up.
And eventually 325 makes his way up this staircase and delivers his final message.
Nothing. Well, there's nothing wrong with the staircase.
Now stay where you are. Follow the command. Can you hear me? Okay, we are now on our way to support.
I saw it in staircase.
Now there are a few possibilities as to what can be going on here, but I am going to chalk it up to this one theory, that the staircase in the woods is acting as sort of a portal to another world. Once 325 made it up that final step, he was propelled somewhere completely different, which is why 325 saw the missing child. He found her in whatever place she ended up in, and that same place is where 325 is going. Alright, so this next one is titled Meet the Neighbors, and this one is particularly strange for me because YouTube keeps recommending it to me, and it's been doing that for like a couple weeks now. The tape begins with a premium program guide for Saturday, November 28th, and looking in the description of this video, this is taking place in a neighborhood called Wakefield in Washington, USA. And after a brief series of 90s commercial programming, we're brought into the meat of the video. Welcome to Wakefield, your new home. Let's meet our neighbors. And right off the bat, I'm assuming that this tape was given to new residents of Wakefield as a way of kind of getting them adjusted to their new community. And looking up the actual neighborhood of Wakefield, it's a very small neighborhood in Washington, D.C., only spanning around 7-ish blocks top to bottom. So I guess it kind of does make sense because this is a very small community. They want to kind of get people acquainted with the other people in the community. The first person that we meet is someone named Sally Dawson, age 29, occupation doctor. Sally greets you and we're given her address for some particular reason. It doesn't really say why. And after Sally, we're introduced to Jack Dempsey, age 52, occupation lawyer. But instead of greeting us like Sally did, we're met with hostility and silence. The next person is Peyton Derby, age 32, occupation sales clerk. Peyton answers the door, but yet again, we're met with silence. There also seems to be something off about the way that Peyton looks, like a mix of sadness and emptiness. Regardless though, we move on to the next house. The next person is named Jane, age 25 to 32, occupation any. And it's pretty clear that by this next house, there is something extremely wrong with this tape, as after house it shows a percent symbol and a dollar symbol. A person named Murph Gyptis, age none, occupation exist. And for some odd reason, we're then brought into the woods, where we're shown this person's twisted face. The introduction to the neighborhood tape concludes by telling us to enjoy our stay, where you'll never want to leave. So I don't really have any theories as to what's happening in this tape. I think the only thing I can think of is that once you move into this town, you can never leave for some reason, and something will eventually turn you into this.
These lumps of meat have grown a reputation to be a loving companion, although most people may not know the proper ways to care for them.
Now this next analog horror video is an episode from a series called Vita Carnis, but this episode just really struck out to me, so I did want to include it in here. Also, let me know your thoughts on this video because I might make a video on the entire series as well, as this is just one episode out of many.
Most people get dogs or cats, but maybe you want something more interesting. Then, you may want to get yourself a trimming. These lumps of meat have grown a reputation to be a loving companion for many people in the recent months.
The creature resembles sort of a tortoise-like appearance, as if you were to remove the shell and skin the creature entirely. But for some reason, this creature is still alive. The tape goes on to say that the trimming enjoys warmer temperatures and should nest in boxes.
Make sure there is enough for your trimming to cover itself. And now, you have a comfy bed for your buddy.
The trimming also can eat anything, although it's recommended to give them dog food. Now all of this at first seems fine and dandy, and I mean, if you kind of look at it in a certain way, it's kind of cute. But what made me completely change my mind is the fact that the trimming is nocturnal and makes this noise throughout the entire night.
The thing to remember is trimmings are nocturnal and make plenty of noise. prevent you from having sleepless nights, try to give your trimmings first meal in the late morning or afternoon.
It's as if the creature is in agony as it cries throughout the entire night. The video then returns to normal and gives you this really baseline advice as to how to take care of it, making sure that it has plenty of sunlight and making sure it has enough space in the home to just roam around. Socialization is another thing to keep in mind, but as the video progresses, things start to get increasingly more eerie.
When it comes to entertainment, Trimmings are not the most active and aren't the best at fetch or tug of war. Trimmings also enjoy things that you enjoy as well, like watching the television or listening to the radio. They love seeing and listening to all the funny things coming from the devices.
The next section that we get into is how to properly clean the trimming. I mean, what we see here is pretty standard. I mean, if you take care of a dog, it's essentially the same thing. Making sure to get every area and not to get soap in their eyes. The rest of the video maintains this theme of taking care of your pet, and concludes the video by stating that you should ensure to give your trimming plenty of attention. But then the video concludes. This entire tape is presenting us with the false illusion that this is in fact a happy pet. But the reality of this entire thing is that this pet is a skinned tortoise, and freezing any frame of this tape makes it look like this is a carcass. This skinned tortoise suffers with every single movement and shares its suffering with other tortoises. Its screams of agony are evident of the feelings of this creature. This is no pet. I'm definitely interested in this series, so I will probably come back to this and make an entire video on it, as there's like a bunch of other videos of this. Here for a while. Alright, so the last analog horror video that I wanted to dive into is called Wonders of the Maine Woods. Starting off the tape by telling viewers, today we're going to be talking about animals and the types of animals found in Maine, USA. Now we are going to go over some creatures you may meet on your adventure. It then goes on to show us a chickadee, a white-tailed deer, and the last creature is a redacted photo of some creature we're not meant to see. The tape cuts out and we're shown this piece of text stating what you are about to witness is unreleased video of the first encounter of the greater presence. The man in the video's name is redacted and was found in the woods unresponsive. In other words, the person that filmed this entire video encountered the greater presence and was eventually found dead on the ground.
There is a pine tree here.
We're then shown the camcorder recording of a man documenting his findings of a very strange part in the woods, noting that there are a bunch of cut down trees, but he doesn't know why. And then immediately after he says that, a call is heard from deeper within the woods.
I've been out here for a while.
And at this point it becomes very evident that this is the shelter of whatever is calling to him from deeper within the woods. The man eventually goes into one of these shelters and finds a hatchet. However, immediately upon picking it up, the screams from earlier get even louder. Realizing that he's been spotted, he runs away. However, we know from the beginning of this tape that he doesn't escape, as the screams continue and destroy the camera in a white flash. But yeah, that pretty much does it for this episode's collection of analog horror tapes. Please do not forget to subscribe as well as like the video and comment bruh. Also check out the Patreon if you feel so inclined. You get early access to videos as well as your name at the end of every single video. But yeah, thank you so much for spending some time with me. It's always super great. And yeah, I'll see you later. Stay safe. Bye. Love ya.
XHGC Canal 5, al servicio de la comunidad. Selene Delgado López, de 18 años, se extravió el 22 de abril en la delegación Álvaro Obregón.